According to Ashtanga Yoga, these 8 limbs of yoga that the sage Patanjali gave us, Dhyana, meaning meditation, is the 7th limb. It's right before the 8th limb of Samadhi, or divine union, which is the ultimate purpose of yoga. The word yoga literally means union, not as so many of us think of just our fingers to the toes or our palms to the ground or our nose to our knees, but actually a union of ourselves to the divine, a union of this lowercase s, small self, with the capital S, divine self. So she says, in that, if I sit down right here to meditate, my mind is all over the place. It's futile for me to meditate. So there's a couple of pieces to this. First of all, according to Ashtanga Yoga, and we don't have time to go into all the 8 limbs, but I'll give them to you very, very quickly. They begin, the foundation is what we call yam and niyam. And these are really the 10 commandments of a dharmic life. Not the 10 commandments of a Hindu life, not the 10 commandments of an Indian life, but the 10 commandments of anyone who considers themselves a spiritual person living according to dharma. Dharma meaning, in this case, the right way or integrity. And they include, for example, and you could do a 3-week course on just the yam and the niyam, but basically they begin with non-violence and truthfulness and non-stealing and non-hoarding, and their ways of living in the world. They remind us to be pure, to be surrendered, to have integrity in our relationships. It has to be the foundation. So yes, we must practice that, because if you don't, not only will your meditation not happen, but you won't even be able to fall asleep at night. We know that if I do something wrong in the day, even just I yell at someone who really didn't quite deserve to be yelled at, maybe my child, maybe an employee, maybe somebody in the service profession somewhere where I was moving through the world, it eats at me. I sit down to have my food, I lie down to go to sleep at night, and that person's face keeps coming back to me. I shouldn't have been so mean to them. That wasn't right. So not only does my meditation not come, but my sleep won't even come. If I lie, if I steal, again, not only doesn't meditation come, but sleep won't even come. So absolutely, this is why our spiritual practice must begin by how we live in the world. That's a given. We then move into asana. So asana is the physical practice, the physical postures, and then pranayama, working with the breath. Pratyahara, which is a withdrawal of the senses. When we began with the meditation this evening, and I said, allow your awareness and focus to pull from the outer world to the inner world. That's pratyahara. And then we focus it on one point, single-pointed focus. And then we move into meditation where there was me, and there was a candle, and there was a candle flame, and there was attention on the candle flame. There was me, there was the breath, there was attention on the breath. And then suddenly, it becomes one. The meditator, the object of meditation, the act of meditation become one. And that's when it ultimately merges into that full meditation and then samadhi. But just because you haven't perfected asana, just because you haven't perfected breathing exercises. Don't say, well, I shouldn't meditate. Our physical postures enable us to sit down. If my knees hurt, if my back hurts, if I don't have any flexibility or strength in my body, if I have to keep changing the cross of my legs every 5 seconds, it's very hard to meditate. If my breath doesn't flow, well, it's very hard to bring my awareness to my breath. The breath is really this bridge between this physical body, this mental awareness, and a much deeper state of consciousness. And so the breath not only keeps my physical body alive, but it's also a bridge into higher states of consciousness. So if I can't use my breath, it's going to be very difficult for me to enter those higher states. But don't wait until you are an expert and you've got, a yoga teacher's training 500-hour certificate to feel like you're qualified to sit and meditate. As long as you have enough flexibility and strength and health in the body that you can sit comfortably, if not on the floor, on a chair, if you can breathe enough that you can be aware of the breath, meditate. And even if not, when people are sick, so many stories, people in hospitals, people on their deathbed, people who can't breathe without a ventilator, people who can't move without the help of nurses. But meditation still is actually that which prepares them to leave the body if that's what they're getting ready to do. Or it's what enables them to stay grounded and anchored in that which is not the body when the body is in horrible pain. So the last thing that you want is to think, I'm not qualified to meditate until I've actually done all of those and perfected all of those. But what we do know is that if I work with all of them, if I work with the yam and the niyam every day, and every night, my guru Pujya Sadhviji always says, in the morning, meditation. All day long, no reaction. Whatever happens, don't react. Don't lose yourselves in reaction to the world. And at night, introspection. And so at night when we introspect, we say, all right, how did I do with the yam and the niyam today? Out of 10, how many did I get today? If not 10 out of 10, at least 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. All right. We pray to God, give me the strength, give me the clarity that tomorrow, if I got 7 out of 10 today, I should get 8 out of 10 tomorrow. If I got 9 out of 10 today, I should get 10 out of 10 tomorrow. And we move. We work, we use all of these different aspects, which together help the mind become still. But I can tell you, I know a lot of people who have walked into a practice of meditation, never having done any asana other than whatever they need to do to be able to sit, never having done any pranayama other than just witnessing the breath, never having consciously practiced any of the other limbs. But they do live lives of dharma, so we could do a yam and niyam checklist and say, yeah, they live that, yeah, they live that. Or dhyan lag jata hai. And there's one last piece, interestingly. Don't wait until you can tick off all 10 of the yam and niyam to meditate, because something very interesting happens on a spiritual path. As you meditate, what you find is that automatically the drive to do things that are not right automatically dissipates. My asana teacher used to say, people would come into yoga class, and it was just an asana class, and some people would go to him, you know, gossip is sort of universal and negativity is sort of universal, and people would go to him and say, this one smokes cigarettes. You should tell them they shouldn't smoke cigarettes. Cigarettes are bad. Don't let people who smoke cigarettes come to yoga. And he used to say, you know what? I have so much faith in yoga itself that the science, the art of yoga does not need me to stand here and say, you are qualified, you are not. When people start to practice yoga, automatically the habits they have drop off.